A deeply troubling trend has no doubt already been noticed by those who follow our weekly reviews of climate disasters. Reports of extreme weather events in Russia are now appearing in almost every episode. This isn't because we used to overlook the country, it's simply that such catastrophic events were far less common there in the past. But now, for reasons that remain unclear to most, the situation has changed dramatically. Russia is rapidly catching up with the rest of the world in both the frequency and scale of climate-related disasters. What caused this sudden shift? You'll find the answer by watching this episode until the end. China. This spring, China has been experiencing an unprecedented series of extreme weather events described as the rarest in the last 100 years. An unusual combination of atmospheric factors led to the formation of a storm band, bringing heavy rainfall, thunderstorms, strong gusts of wind, and tornadoes to large areas in both the northern and southern parts of the country. On May 8th, a tornado that swept through Hunan province destroyed 6 houses in the Yueyang district and caused damage to over 100 buildings. Hail also damaged cars and broke fruit trees. In Hengyang district, the tornado destroyed a residential building, and unfortunately, 2 elderly people lost their lives under the rubble. Hurricane-force wind gusts, ranging from 9 to 14 on the Beaufort scale, were recorded at most weather stations in the provinces of Hunan, Hubei, and Jiangxi. The rainfall was also of extraordinary intensity. In Ximen County, Anhui Province, 87 millimeters of rain fell in just 1 hour. In Beijing and Hebei Province, 24 weather stations recorded rainfall exceeding previous May records. Even in Shanghai, which had recently experienced a drought, torrential rains occurred, comparable in intensity to those accompanying typhoons. On the same day, a powerful hailstorm, with hailstones the size of a chicken egg, unexpectedly struck the city of Xi'an, Shanxi Province. One car dealer sadly reported that none of the more than 300 cars displayed for sale survived the storm. The bodies were covered in dents, and all the windows were shattered. As the convective storms moved south, they became increasingly threatening. The proximity to the South China Sea increased humidity and fueled atmospheric processes, intensifying the storm to levels comparable to a typhoon. Unfortunately, it must now be acknowledged that residents of the southern provinces are at risk of being hit by such storms at any time, not just during the usual typhoon season. For example, in just one day, more than 250 millimeters of rain fell in the Yangjiang district of Guangdong province. The amount of water was so immense that residents had to wade through streets waist-deep in water. On May 10th, a tornado struck the logistics park of Longfeng Company in Hainan province, destroying half of the factory buildings in just a few seconds. The total area of the destroyed structures was around 2,700 square meters. Fortunately, none of the employees present on the site were injured. Russia. On May 8th, in the Svetlinsky district of Orenburg Oblast, a powerful tornado swept across the lands of the Tobolsky State Farm, an extremely rare phenomenon for this region. Its sudden appearance caused widespread panic among local residents. The storm was accompanied by large hailstones, roughly the size of a chicken egg. Several cattle barns sustained serious damage, resulting in the death or injury of some livestock. According to eyewitnesses, there wasn't just one tornado. A second funnel cloud passed over a nearby field, but it quickly dissipated before causing any harm. On May 8th, regions of the North Caucasus were hit by powerful thunderstorms, accompanied by hail and hurricane-force winds. The storm brought down trees and power line poles, snapping electrical cables. The hail caused significant damage to orchards and crops, putting the upcoming harvest at risk. Several districts in North Ossetia experienced power outages. Kartsa and other areas were hit. Hail the size of walnuts caused serious damage to fruit trees. In the village of Kosta, strong winds even toppled a monument. In Vladikavkaz, a fallen tree crushed a car. 2 people were injured. One of them was taken to the hospital in serious condition. On May 12th, in the village of Storozhevaya in Karachay-Cherkessia, a hailstorm destroyed the upcoming harvest, a harvest that local residents had invested considerable effort and money into. People lost what was meant to feed their families and serve as a source of income. On May 9th, in Stavropol Krai, following prolonged heavy rains, the village of Ovoshchi in the Turkmen district was flooded by water rushing down from the fields. In some homes, water levels rose to 1.5 meters. Floors were damaged, and furniture and household appliances were ruined. A section of the regional highway was also affected. In Georgievsky district, a state of emergency had to be declared. Hail the size of walnuts damaged more than 10,000 hectares of agricultural land, affecting wheat, barley, corn, sunflower, peas, and flax crops. Losses range from 20 to 100%. On May 12th, in the town of Solnekhnodolsk, a rare and hard-to-predict natural phenomenon known as a rain bomb was recorded. It involves a powerful downdraft of air accompanied by intense rainfall. As a result, water supply equipment was damaged and water service was temporarily cut off in several homes. Colombia. The rainy season continues to cause significant damage, with particularly severe conditions observed in the Antioquia department. On May 8th, heavy rainfall triggered a massive landslide in the southern part of the Medellin metropolitan area, Colombia's second-largest city. The mud and debris flow destroyed part of a residential neighborhood, sweeping away several houses. The landslide claimed the lives of 7 people. According to witnesses, the landslide started unexpectedly, and people had almost no chance to escape. As a result of the incident, 23 families were evacuated to temporary shelters. The tragic landslide was just one of hundreds of incidents caused by extreme weather in Antioquia. A red danger level was declared in 72 out of 125 municipalities across the department. Since the beginning of May, more than 1,000 emergencies have occurred in Medellin alone. Due to heavy rainfall, one of the country's largest rivers, the Cauca River, overflowed, flooding numerous areas. Brazil. On May 9th, the south of Brazil was hit by a series of storms. In the state of Rio Grande do Sul, strong winds, heavy rainfall, and tornadoes affected nearly 40 cities, causing significant damage. Reports of torn-off roofs, fallen power poles, and uprooted trees came in almost continuously. Around 190 millimeters of rainfall fell in 24 hours in Cachoeira do Sul. This was 1.5 times the average rainfall for May. The most significant event was a tornado in the municipality of Erval Grande, where hundreds of buildings were destroyed or damaged, and around 30 hectares of eucalyptus plantations were completely wiped out. A whirlwind that swept through the forest left behind hundreds of fallen trees. In the city of Triunfo, firefighters evacuated elderly residents from a damaged nursing home and placed them in a temporary shelter. In the state of Santa Catarina, the storm caused significant damage and led to the deaths of 2 people who were killed by fallen trees. In some areas, wind gusts exceeded 100 kilometers per hour. In the municipality of Itapiranga, atmospheric microbursts were recorded, sharp, powerful, and destructive downdrafts of air. In the city of Palmitos, which was hit hardest by the storm, residential homes were destroyed. The pipeline network and road surfaces were damaged, and trees and power line poles were knocked down. Additionally, a section of one of the country's major highways was blocked. Significant damage was caused to agricultural land. As a result of the hurricane, the municipal school infrastructure in Mondayi was affected. A gymnasium wall collapsed, injuring 6 students who were inside. In the greater Florianopolis area, the bad weather also left behind destruction. In the municipality of Palhoça, hail of unusually large size was observed. Democratic Republic of the Congo. Heavy rainfall struck the eastern region of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The most affected area was the South Kivu province. In the Fizi region, a small river quickly overflowed, turning into a raging torrent that swept away everything in its path. Trees, rocks, and mud. On the night of May 9th, the bad weather hit the village of Kasaba. The local residents were caught off guard by the disaster. At the time of the strike, most of them were asleep. The raging torrents of water and mud leveled about 150 houses. At least 110 people were killed, the majority of whom were children and the elderly. In addition, 28 people were injured. The lack of communication and washed-out roads severely hindered rescue efforts. The only way to reach Kasaba was by crossing Lake Tanganyika. Seismic activity. On May 13th, a series of 49 earthquakes was recorded in the area of the Campi Flegrei supervolcano, considered the most dangerous in Europe. Among them were tremors with magnitudes of 4.4 and 3.5. The epicenter was located near the city of Pozzuoli. The seismic swarm triggered the evacuation of schools and public buildings, the suspension of train services in the region, and the activation of emergency coordination centers. It is important to note that more than 500,000 people live in the so-called red zone, in close proximity to the caldera. Due to the ongoing seismic swarm, which has lasted for several months and is accompanied by noticeable tremors, destruction, and injuries, the Ministry of Civil Protection has declared a state of emergency. Earthquakes with a magnitude greater than 4 had previously been a very rare occurrence in this region, happening once every few decades. However, in just the last 2 months, 2 such incidents have been recorded. On the same day, a strong earthquake with a magnitude of 6.1 occurred south of the island of Crete, Greece. The tremors were felt in several countries of the Eastern Mediterranean, including Israel, Egypt, Turkey, Jordan, and Lebanon. Ukraine. Since May 8th, Ukraine has experienced a sharp drop in temperature. The air temperature fell by 5 to 9 degrees Celsius below normal, and frost was recorded across almost the entire country. Residents tried to save their crops by covering plants with agro-fabric and lighting bonfires. However, not everything could be saved. In several regions, fruit trees, nut plantings, melon crops, strawberries, and grapes were killed by the frost. In Lviv, record-low daily minimum temperatures were recorded for 2 consecutive days. Such cold temperatures had not been observed at this time of year for 47 years. In the city of Rivne, on May 9th, an anomalous cold snap was recorded. The temperature dropped to -2.5 degrees Celsius. This became the lowest May temperature since the 4th, according to the entire history of meteorological observations in the region. Frosts on the soil surface were even more intense. In Rivne Oblast, even greenhouse crops were damaged. Plants died despite being covered. From May 8th, heavy snowfall continued in the Carpathians for several consecutive days. This came as a complete surprise not only to tourists, but also to local residents. A true winter storm raged on Mount Pop Ivan, with temperatures dropping to -7 degrees Celsius. On May 9th, several regions were hit by a series of storms with heavy rainfall, hail, and gusty winds. In Pavlohrad, Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, a tornado caused damage to residential buildings, cars, and power lines. In Zaporizhzhia, powerful downpours were accompanied by abnormally large hail, with stones reaching 5 centimeters in size. In Odessa Oblast, strong wind gusts caused power outages in 55 settlements, leaving 18,000 families without electricity. On May 12th, hailstorms hit Cherkasy Oblast. In the city of Zolotonosha, witnesses recorded a large tornado, but fortunately, no destruction occurred. Romania. In Romania, extreme weather continues to cause serious problems. In the Dolj County, severe storms became a true disaster. Over 100 houses were flooded, and around 3,500 hectares of agricultural land were damaged. In Mehedinți County, a large hailstorm completely destroyed vineyards, as well as onion, garlic, and other crops. A local resident, aged 82, remarked that he had never seen anything like it in his entire life. Flooding completely blocked several regional roads, severely disrupting traffic. Just a few days later, Arctic air spread over the country, causing an atypical sharp drop in temperature for mid-May. The northern regions were covered in snow. In the mountains of Romania, blizzards raged, and in some areas, the snow accumulation reached up to 10 centimeters. May 12th set a cold record for the past 50 years. The absolute temperature minimum for this date was broken. In the city of Miercurea, Siuk, the temperature dropped to -3.6 degrees Celsius. On Mount Omu, the temperature dropped to -7 degrees Celsius. The cold snap was so abrupt that residents were forced to urgently purchase firewood for heating. The opening of the high-altitude Trans-Fagara-Shan Highway was delayed until the end of the month due to heavy snowfall. Why has the noticeable increase in climate disasters in Russia only occurred in recent years, while the global rise in such events has been observed for over a decade? Despite the appearance of mystical theories in the media, the explanation for this trend is purely technical. Experimental equipment developed by the interdisciplinary scientific group ALLATRA became the technical solution that from 2013 to 2023 exerted a stabilizing influence on the climate situation. The primary effect was observed in Russia and Eastern European countries. By influencing atmospheric and hydrospheric processes, this system helped reduce the intensity of winds and storms and lessened the severity of abnormal precipitation. Thanks to this equipment, the increase in extreme weather events in Russia occurred much more slowly, even though the Siberian region was experiencing accelerated warming due to the activity of the Siberian magmatic plume. There, temperatures were rising 2.5 to 3 times faster than the global average. The placement of this equipment in Russia was not driven by political considerations or personal motives, but was due to the high geodynamic risk posed by the Siberian plume, which, in the event of a breakthrough, could wipe out all life on Earth. However, in August 2023, the operation of the installation had to be stopped. Shortly after that, there was a rapid increase in the number of extreme weather events and their destructive power in Russia and several countries in Eastern Europe. And this process is only gaining momentum. Dr. Egon Chalakian, one of the scientists from the ALLATRA scientific team, in his public speeches, answered a number of key questions in detail. He explained the reasons why the experimental equipment was deactivated, revealed the physical principles behind its operation, and shared who made its creation possible. In addition, Cholakian addressed the causes of global climate changes, pointing out the alarming trend of their acceleration, and offered solutions that are already available to slow down the growing wave of natural disasters. We ask you to carefully review Dr. Egon Cholakian's address and reflect on the information presented. Our ability to understand and apply this information truly depends on our collective future.